Maine Knows How. Brought to you by A&G Shooting, Modern Woodmen of America, Mainly Handrails, Pine Grove Programs, Digital Spirit Media, and J.W. Parks Golf Course. Maine Knows How.
All right, so Wyatt, what's going on?
Well, been in the woods.
In the woods?
In the woods, you know. Been doing a lot of rabbit hunting. Been out running the dogs, hearing them howl, chasing a few bunnies around.
You have the dogs right here?
Yeah, we have I think 14 right now, 14 beagles, and we trained them all summer. Just about every week, or several times a week, and right before the season, we bring them running. We have to get them in shape. See, all of our dogs are, we think of them as athletes because they could run 15, 20 miles out in the woods a day. And we rabbit hunt almost every day through the winter, so they have to be prepared prior to the season. So they're at that level of athleticism, basically. So now that we're in the middle of it, we're just going every day, having a grand time in the snow.
The rabbit hunting is good here.
Yeah, we have quite a few covers, and we don't hunt each cover many times. We know how many rabbits are in each one, approximate, and we don't over harvest.
Right.
And so we might only go to a cover once a year. And so we're always looking for new covers. And that kind of goes back to what we were talking about before. Like, we're always hunting. We're always looking for new places. We're always looking for new rabbit covers. We're always looking for new deer areas. That's just one of the good things about always being in the woods here, is that you're always hunting. You're always looking for stuff. You might find a new rabbit cover tomorrow because you were out exploring.
This time of year is very important to putting out our stands for next year's deer stands. We can drive them in with a snowmobile right over the top of the choppings, right over the top of that stuff. We can laser them, set the stand up, and set them all up.
What do you mean by laser?
We take a rangefinder. So on the stand, on the side, we'll write to that tree is 200 yards, 100 yards, 30 yards. So the hunter that gets there can look and say, that rock is 50 yards. That tree over there is right on there with a Sharpie. So it's year round. We're not just like, we do something else the rest of the year, paver or a tree cutter or whatever people do. What we do is guide.
Right.
And that's all. There's a big difference.
You know, Wyatt's talking about the hare hunt. And I remember you telling me about, you've had people come from all over the globe.
All over the globe. Yep.
To come hare hunting with you.
Absolutely.
What's the draw?
The hounds is what people like to hear. And a lot of people in some parts of the world don't have an opportunity to hunt like this. They don't have white rabbits. You know, I have people that come from Ireland, Germany, Sicily, Greece, Yugoslavia, all over to come hare hunting with us.
And they might not have 8 feet of fluffy snow either.
That's right.
So that's a whole other thing for them to learn.
Dealing with the cold, too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So as the guide, you have to take that into consideration of how your hunters are dealing with the environment. Not just, are they going to get a rabbit? We don't care about them getting a rabbit. We care about them going home in one piece. You can't overexert them. If I have a guy show up at 55, 60 years old, big, heavy man, we try to keep him where he isn't going to overexert himself. See? Because your job as a guide is to send him home in one piece. And we've had about every accident that could happen. We've had people have heart attacks and this problem and that problem. And you've got to be able to respond to it in the wild instantly. So it's not always fun. It's always, you're in charge. So when they're all done, they all look at you for the answer.
So what are the best conditions for a hare hunt? Like with the snow, I know that you're worried about your hounds their paws and their health of their paws and everything like that too.
Yeah. Well, their feet, they've been run during the off season, so their feet harden. And if they don't, if you just sort of say, okay, now it's February, March, it's an ultimate time, that dog's feet are not in shape. It's like saying, we're going to run a marathon and we haven't done the work ahead of time. You already know what the results that's going to be. Same thing. These dogs are athletes, and it's a year-round thing. Their feet have to be hard. Their body has to be hard. We wrap their feet. We put artificial skin on their paws depending on the snow conditions, how much moisture is in the snow. That snow is very, very abrasive. They'll tear the hide right off them.
Ugh.
So you have to protect it because that's their wheels. If those are stove up once during the season, they're done for the year. They'll run, but not good because they're in pain and it hurts. And so you have to protect. But at the same time, when somebody comes from the other side of the world to go hare hunting, you have to hunt. See, you have no choice. So a lot of guys will say, so that might mean I might have to drive 2 hours further north to get out of the ice. See? So stuff like that. Yeah. So there's a lot involved to just doing this full-time, not part-time. And these guys have to be, we have them in a heated kennel, but not heated to a degree of heat, just so their waters don't freeze. They got to be able to hydrate, or their muscles will contract and they'll get cramps and stuff. And they have to be able to run. Some dogs can run every other day. Some have to go 4 or 5 days, depending on their age and their ability, like people. So you have to make that decision and look at them and check them all out and check all their eyes, how many sticks and twigs and pine needles and all that's in their eyes and in their chest, under their arms. It's a real job.
So the dogs enjoy the hunt.
Absolutely. That's all they live for. And a beagle is nothing but a heart with a nose. That's all. He will give you everything he's got till there's nothing left.
Wow.
It's incredible how much they give. So you have to take care of them the best of your ability.
Right.
Yeah, from everything.
Well, that's great. We'll be back in just a minute to talk about the upcoming ice fishing derby.
This edition of Maine Knows How is brought to you by Modern Woodmen of America, a member-owned fraternal financial services organization. Together with our members, we've been touching lives and securing futures since 1883.
Pine Grove program has one of its annual fundraisers coming up February 10th.
Right.
It's the Ice Fishing Derby on Wyman Lake. It's a great day. We've been doing this for how long do you think, Bob?
I think it's 13 or 14 years now, and we only do Wyman Lake. And it's for the program, but it's also for the community. It's everybody in the Wyman Lake area. And it's a big deal to all the people in town. That they really come out for that event. And
they support it, too,
they
financially.
do a lot. And it's really looked forward to all over, from the Forks to Skowhegan to all around central Maine. They show up for that fishing derby.
Everybody out there, break out your map and look at the Forks and look at Caratuncan. You watch Wyman Lake and how large it is.
There's a lot of area for people to fish.
That's a lot of fishing area.
For one day. The warden said, I've never seen that many people on one body of water, Wyman Lake, ever. Over 350 people on that lake fishing. And they're people that live in town because we really work hard at giving them the best prizes we can, and they know all the proceeds goes to taking veterans, policemen, and firemen year-round to experience the outdoors and the healing tool that God gave us in the wilderness. And that's what we do.
This is the wilderness, is it not?
If it isn't, it's pretty close.
Last year, Last year it was really warm, wasn't it?
We had a hard time making ice. We had to cancel it twice
Right.
because I asked the warden service to fly the lake for me, and they do, and then they go and check because I don't want to be the only person that makes the decision that that lake is safe. They said, Bob, it looks really good. I wouldn't drive any vehicles on it. So we went around to all the places where people entered there and told them not to put a vehicle on that lake. And we had no accidents. But even, at the weigh-in, you don't see anybody standing there with beers in their hands and all that. It's mostly family, kids, wives. And so it's really, really a nice event for everybody in Central Maine.
But memory serves that it was a little cold on the day of.
Absolutely. It was 21 below.
We finally got the ice.
Yeah, 21 below. 3 days before, the lake was open in the place, and it sealed up.
Well, 21 below.
Mm-hmm.
Meant for some crusty conditions, I'll tell you that. I was happy to be cooking burgers.
That just
inside
showed
the
you,
shack. Probably. Inside the shack, yeah.
And that showed you the commitment that Central Maine people in this area bring to this event. This year we have some really nice prizes again. Tim from Bingham General had donated an ice auger to us, and we donated some snowshoes and mainly handrails. Built us another fireplace. I have it in the barn already.
Excellent. Always in
beautiful
high demand.
Thing. Yeah.
Fire pits.
Especially when it's 21 below.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
And we have enough prizes so almost everybody gets something.
You mentioned snowshoes.
Mm-hmm.
And where do these snowshoes come from?
Oh, we make them here at the lodge, and that's another whole story, but we own a snowshoe company and a furniture company, and we use that to help fund this not-for-profit. And,
what's the name of the?
Main Guide Snowshoes and Furniture. And we try to make the best snowshoe we can in the world. That's what we try.
These are heirloom quality products that you'll hand down to your kids and to your grandkids. They're just beautiful. My wife and I have a set, and they're just amazing snowshoes with your own design.
It's the only snowshoe with reverse. You can go backwards as well as forward, but it carries the weight over the center of the shoe. It's not a tail dragging shoe. And it's quite a story in itself, and we'll share that with you guys sometime later on.
Right.
The production of that, how we have disabled vets and women with kids with Down syndrome and women with need a helping hand, and they work for us doing this, and they can do it at home. And there's a lot of good things that happen with this product.
Right. And you only use one kind of wood.
We only use white ash, and it's tough to find right now. So if you have some white ash connections, contact us. We'd love to. Good God. This year's been a terrible fight to get enough ash. Not even close. We didn't make a snowshoe for 7 months because we had so much rain in the spring that we couldn't get in the woods with a skidder and get ash. So it was really tough. So it put us behind a lot. We stopped taking orders. And now we're starting to move forward again and build the product again.
Well, so there'll be a pair of those snowshoes at the
Derby.
At the Derby, and so there's a raffle.
Yep.
So you don't have to catch a big fish.
Right. Mm-hmm. You don't even have to go fishing.
You don't even have to go fishing. Buy the ticket, though.
Buy a ticket.
Yeah.
Help the program.
We gave away a trip to Lake Ontario.
That's right.
Salmon fishing for 4 people, free of charge.
Yeah.
And they had a grand time going there and catching some 30-pound salmon.
It's amazing to me constantly how you guys have contacts all around the country, and I presume it's from doing the shows.
A lot, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And word of mouth. We don't advertise these snowshoes anywhere.
Wow.
Only word of mouth, and people from Alaska, British Columbia, Saskatchewan, Michigan, all over purchase these, and they know them, and they know where they come from, and they'll call every day. That phone that keeps ringing, those are people wanting to buy snowshoes.
Yeah. They are the best. They're the premier, and they're the real thing.
Yeah. And they're made by people that do them all by hand, and know where all the proceeds go to this.
Yep.
Yep.
No, and that's the whole key. I mean, this fishing derby, it's all about generating the funds to pay for the hare hunt.
Right.
You know,
Or
And
bear hunt. It costs a lot to bear
the
hunt.
bear hunt is
Jeez,
a big
deer
nugget.
hunt.
Yeah,
I think we brought 9 or 10 Vietnam guys this year deer hunting.
right.
Yep. And
They stayed for how long?
a whole week.
A whole week.
Yep.
A week-long guided deer hunt
Yep.
in Maine,
Right. All for free.
all for free.
Yep.
Yeah. We make a penny go. We make a penny go a distance.
We do.
That's for sure.
Yep.
So last year it's about 3:00 in the afternoon. Is that when we do the weigh-in?
It's 3:30 this year. And
3:30?
we're going to do it at Bingham General Store there rather than at the boat landing.
Mm-hmm.
And Tim will have food and drinks and stuff right there.
Right.
And Tim is a sponsor of this program, has been for years, sponsors us in the summer during the motorcycle ride. And so we're trying to give back. We don't just want to take. We'd like to give back to a lot of these people. So we asked him about it, and he asked the people around there, and we're going to do it in his big parking lot. So that would be good.
There's nothing quite like watching people mosey on up for the weighing.
Yeah.
And they're bringing their fish with them. And, some of these fish were caught at 5:00 in the morning.
Absolutely.
And they're just frozen solid, but they're beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful fish. And, to see a 12-year-old kid.
Yeah, I love watching the kids bring up their nice, beautiful trout, and they're just so proud of it, and they're like presenting it to the weigh-in,
putting it up there, and it's phenomenal what the lake provides. But it's also specific. We target Wyman Lake to not put pressure on the other lakes with the derby.
This is a community lake. We want them to come and buy and stay. People come for the weekend. Some people come and they stay in the hotel. They'll stay here. They stay in other places and fish the day before. They do that. So it helps everybody in town. They eat in their restaurants and they stay in the hotels, and so it's for everybody in the community. It's a community thing.
What's the biggest fish?
Oh, well, it depends on the species.
Well, I mean, just
plain
out of
big.
Wyman. What's the
probably 5 pounds, 6 pounds.
trout?
Yeah.
There's no salmon.
There is salmon.
Is there?
There is. Nice ones too. Nice brook trout and splake.
Like,
Yeah, and there's not a lot because of the lake. We have lake trout too, but not a lot because of how much current goes through there. That is part of the Kennebec River,
right.
and everything that came from Moosehead flew down through and went to Indian Pond. Then it came down to Kennebec, and now it's into Wyman Lake.
Well, I mean, from an economic point of view, the Wyman Lake decades ago was the beginning of the tree harvest,
Yeah, it was part of the log drive.
the log drive.
Yeah, and they would drive logs all the way down to Kennebec, all the way to the ocean.
All the way out to the ocean.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, they drove all the way down. There was mills. There was over 20 mills on the river at one time.
I would encourage anybody who's never been up to this part of the country, the drive from Bingham to Jackman
Yeah,
along Wyman Lake and all those bodies of water all the way up. Just stunning.
a lot of people go to Jackman and stay because we don't have that many hotels, and they'll stay up there.
Wow.
And they'll come down and fish. They might fish up that way and eat up that way, and then come down and fish it on the Saturday to fish the derby. See?
Right. Well, the fishing derby is just a great opportunity for all of us to get outside. And in Maine, you got to have something to do outside, don't you, Wyatt?
Oh yeah, yep. It gets pretty quiet, pretty fast when you're inside by yourself. So,
Although the days are getting longer.
that's true.
We're past
true.
December 21st, right? February, we're starting to get a little bit more direct sun, so it's not bad.
But we don't always need sunlight to be having fun in the outdoors.
That's true.
Because we have 5 or 6, maybe even more, heated shacks for hunting coyotes at night over bait. And so we do that all winter. We've had it for a couple months now already, and we do that all winter.
Come for the coyote hunt alone. Those they're Raskly Rabbits. They're creatures that are just so sneaky.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a wonderful, and you're out there all night, so it's night hunting.
It could be, or it could be day.
During the day.
It could be during the day. Yeah. And we plow a lot of these roads so we can bring people with wheelchairs or severe disabilities. We plow these roads all winter, and if I can't do it with a pickup, I hire David Robinson, which is another sponsor of our program, to take his front end loader and plow that road for us.
Yeah.
And
if we can't plow it, we have a side-by-side that's all enclosed with tracks, and we'll drive them in. We might drive them in 10 miles and drop them off in this shack, and they'll tell us the time that they want us to pick them up, and we'll drive out and leave them there. And then at that time, we'll go back in and pick them up.
I'll tell you, the wilderness experience that the program, because of all the sponsors and all those that are giving to the program, the outdoor adventures that you guys are able to provide veterans and law enforcement and first responders. And we're really expanding it to their families too, because we know how much time they all spend away, especially the law enforcement and the police and the first responders. You know, to give them something for a week just takes them away from their family for another week.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them can do it, and some of them have that ability, but we're finding that really doing things for the whole family,
right,
canoe trips,
right,
and things like that will come up in the spring,
are
real great family bonding opportunities. But again, it doesn't happen without the support. So I really do encourage folks to go to the website, and there's a donate button right there to go ahead and make a donation to the program, because it's really gratifying to see the smiles on some of the faces. I'll come out on Monday nights in the fall, and you'll see the hunters here. They're sitting right in these seats, chewing the bacon, chewing the fat,
They're
or
coming up
whatever.
with some great lies and some even better stories. So.
Yeah, some funny stuff.
All right. Hey, we'll be back in a minute.
This edition of Maine Knows How is brought to you by Pine Grove Programs, supporting veterans, first responders, and law enforcement by providing free outdoor opportunities to those who serve, have served, and their families.
This is my friend John Oliveira, and he lives in town. He became part of the program a few years back, and he came on a canoe trip with us and some hunting trips with us, and now he volunteers his time to help, and it's been a really good add to the program, and I'll let John tell you about his experiences here.
Great. Yeah, it's good to see you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good to have you here.
I'm all stoked hearing about the coyote hunting and the hare hunting for another season. It'd be awesome. And the ice fishing derby. So, I'm a Navy vet. 20 years. I was lieutenant commander. Served in Afghanistan. Was wounded in Iraq and got medevaced out in 2003, shortly after the initial invasion, and started and suffered from PTSD really, really bad, to the point that I had a service dog for a number of years. And then I started getting into some of the outdoor activities. And then we started coming to Maine, and happened to be coming up to the Wyman Lake, the Upper Kennebec River Valley area. Loved it. And my family, my wife and I, decided to buy a place up here. And a couple of years ago, we found one. Hadn't heard about Pine Grove, but I knew that the outdoors were an important part of that healing process that Bob always talks about, and Andrea, and it really is. And so I met Bob at the ice fishing derby 3 years ago. Was the first thing I went and do with them, and he was like, "Wow, you're living up here, and you want to do this?" And always he's like, "Well, this could work out. You help us, and we'll help you."
You
And,
jumped in with both feet when you got involved.
I did, and like I think within a couple weeks after I met him on the ice fishing derby, his guys started calling me up like on a regular basis. John, we're going to go ice fishing tomorrow. John, we're going to go do this tomorrow. Okay. And I did, and I needed it because it got me out, got me in the woods. And I get very emotional about this. I mean, to the point, I remember the first time I came back from ice fishing, I was so ecstatic. I'd never been ice fishing before. I called him when I got home, and I was in tears talking to him.
And another volunteer from the program.
Right, yep. Our outreach coordinator, Paul Violette, took me, and him and I fish all the time now. But yeah, I mean, it's very emotional knowing that people like Bob and Andrea and you guys, are there and care enough about vets. And I'm also a first responder. I'm on the fire department in Bingham. Been a firefighter since 1984. And that there's these things for us because we really sometimes it's all new to us. In my case, a lot of this is very new to me. Some of it, I had done before. But it's getting you back out there. It's engaging you. And so that's been huge. And so the program has been an incredible help. And I'm working on my guide's license. And so I've done a couple of canoe trips,
Tell us about the
incredible
the canoe trip.
The first year was absolutely wonderful. It was the most picturesque, gorgeous.
First of all, you're going down the Allagash Waterway.
Right, which is about 95 miles.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty remote. There's only a couple road crossings.
So, how many times in any of our lives have we gone a week without seeing a house or a road or a car?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I saw houses and cars all the time when I was in Afghanistan for a year.
Right.
I didn't go 2 weeks without seeing a week without seeing anything. But you head down the Allagash Waterway.
Yeah.
You see a ranger's cabin.
Occasionally, yeah.
Right?
The outhouses at the campsites was about the only building that you're going to see.
Well, yeah, so describe. So the waterway is amazing.
It's made up of several lakes at the beginning, and then ultimately coming out in the Allagash River, which takes you down to the St. John's River on the Canadian border. About 95 miles. Pretty remote. There's no cell service. There's only a couple ways out once you get in there. There's only a couple roads that cross the river. So it is remote. And the first year I went as someone coming into the program, going on the trip with other guides, Wyatt being one of them that year. And it was absolutely gorgeous. The weather was just incredible. We had such an awesome time. And it really was. When you left, you felt like you accomplished something. And, because you go with people that you haven't.
Well, you're going with vets.
Right, but people that you don't even know. And in a matter of a couple of days, you got to learn to bond with these people, you know, because it really is. It's that team effort that we learned in the Army, in the Navy, in the Marines, or in law enforcement. It's a team effort. It's not, you got two people in a canoe, And so the second year, last year, Bob asked me if I would go again as one of the assistants.
You got first aid.
First aid, yeah, and apparently I can cook.
Yeah.
Important.
The bar wasn't very high.
And I will tell you that was probably one of the most challenging trips I have ever been on. Was the one this year.
So let me. So what we did is we moved this last year. We moved it earlier in the season to have more water, but what we got was rain,
right,
and cold.
Yeah, and so it was rainy and it was cold. That we actually got stuck at a couple campsites, a couple nights because we just couldn't get out. It was just the lakes were too rough. And we had 4 guys with us, and I was nervous the first night out because a couple of these guys were already having some physical issues with wet clothing and feet and leaking tents, and this is my first trip, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm like kind of responsible for people here. Mm-hmm. And we got through it, but I think one of the most satisfying things was, number one, that I was able to do it and that these guys entrusted me to do it. Sure. But that I learned enough to go on that trip But on the last day, when we actually could take our jackets off for a couple hours when it wasn't raining,
On the last day.
on the last day, one of the guys that looked at me, he just turned around in my canoe and he went, "You really love this, don't you?" And I went, "Hell yeah!" And the fact that he picked up on my enthusiasm after 5 days in the cold and rain,
Non-stop rain.
right? Yeah, it was
Didn't stop.
It was nonstop.
I had 2 friends that went on that, and I'd apologize, but I'm not God. I didn't bring the rain, right?
And it was great. And then we had a fundraiser, one of our other fundraisers that we do at your place in July.
Lobster bake.
Yeah, one of them was two of them were there, but one of them just could not stop saying how much he appreciated what I had done, and to him it was And when I see that, and it's, I hope that's the kind of feeling that you guys get when you see us, that happens to us, is when I see this guy, and it's challenging. It's not. I don't think it's daredevil challenging.
No.
But it is. But that he was able to take something, and he was able to that he got a sense of self accomplishment, that he was able to achieve a goal. And sometimes coming out of the military or law enforcement or fire, some PTSD, some traumatic experience, sometimes you question whether you can do those things again.
Yeah.
Really, the program's awesome. And I encourage anybody. It'll get you up here, get you in the woods, and the woods really are God's healing place. Like Bob said many times, I've heard him say that.
Yeah, you go down this waterway. The first 2-3 days, you're going through the lakes.
Yep.
And you're paddling hard,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't see. There's no cars.
Nope.
There's no houses.
You might not even see many other canoes.
You see more bear more bear and moose.
Moose, right? And
along the trip than anything else. And then there are so you're not out there by yourself. There are the rangers, or they're kind of like everywhere but nowhere. and the year I went, it was just great. That you come up and a ranger comes up to you, and we'll identify ourselves as being from Pine Grove Pro. They go, "Oh, how's Bob doing?"
Yep. Oh, yeah.
And then they say, "Is everybody safe?" And we say yes. And they say, "Well, let me see your papers."
Right.
This is you have to be cataloged to go down this river. They keep track of you. So even though you're in the wilderness, there's still the big eye looking down on you, taking care of you. And again, just with your experience.
Yeah, but it's a great experience. Just going down there, and but even ice fishing. Last year, I loved it so much that I got all my own ice fishing equipment, and I was taking some vets out ice fishing last year, and that's really what it's about, And we really hope that other people that come up here can do that, and guys that are struggling. This isn't a place that. This is a place that you should be coming to if you're struggling with your life and with the trauma, because this is certainly a time that you can work and get that relaxation, or maybe get your mind moved in a different direction and give you a sense of accomplishment. So this is a great opportunity for anybody to take advantage of.
The woods and the lakes are just such powerful healing tools. Just to walk and to see, and to breathe. Yep. And whether it's you don't have to be a hunter. You don't have to be a fisherman. There's hiking, there's canoeing, there's so many different activities that are therapeutic.
Yeah, and it's great. And this has brought my son and I closer together. Because struggling with the PTSD for so many years, it was tough when he was growing up.
Yeah.
And now that I've kind of stabilized and I'm doing stuff, I can go out with him hunting and take him out on the sled, and same thing with my wife, and I'll go out, take friends ice fishing that never been ice fishing before. I took some friends out on a moose safaris now, and this girl, she grew up in Maine, had never seen a moose in her life. And, one day I've taken her out ice fishing. It was
fun to do.
3 moose walking across the road in front of us. And man, that makes you feel good.
But, John, you mentioned really the multiplication effect that Pine Grove program has is that, when Bob says we have 400 veterans, law enforcement, first responders that we support every year by doing these activities with, there's guys like you who have come into the program, learned something, and now you're going back to your community and you're doing that same thing for other people.
Yeah, and that's huge. That's huge.
And the guy who took you, Paul Violet, who took you ice fishing the first time, he's doing that all the time himself, taking veterans out ice fishing. I get veterans out on our lake ice fishing all the time, and these aren't even counted in our numbers.
Right.
And, it's just like, how much does it cost to pack a few sandwiches and take some guys out?
For $20, I'll take the vet fishing all day and give them, well, my hot lunches when I'm ice fishing are MREs. So,
oh no, you talk about PTSD. Don't say MRE.
Oh God.
Well, that's great. John, you're a good friend to the program. We appreciate everything that you do. Really appreciate your passion for the program.
And that's a reflection of you guys and the work that you guys have started long before I showed up on the picture. And you guys make it easy to want to help out and keep going and moving things forward here. So
we'll carry it forward.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks.
We never give up on anybody. We always, no matter what, we're here for you.
We'll be back in a few minutes.
This edition of Maine Knows How is brought to you by J.W. Parks Golf Course in Pittsfield, a 9-hole facility with a full-service pro shop and driving range offering daily fee golf and membership opportunities.
All right, Wyatt. So I understand you have a tip of the week for us.
I do. So we talked a little bit about going coyote hunting and baiting and out of heated shacks. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how important it is to pay attention to what's going on inside of the shack. These dogs are very intelligent, and they pick up on things that we might not at first. One of the things that we like to do is pay attention. If you have a heater in your shack, you have a little Mr. Buddy heater or something like that, and you have it on so it's glowing.
This is glamping, right?
Well,
with a heater. Come on.
When it's 20, 30 below out and
it's 20 below out.
It might be 90 degrees in front of that heater.
I can say that not being a coyote hunter.
Yeah.
Right?
It might be 80 degrees by the heater and 10 degrees on the other side of the shack.
That's right.
But you might have that heater on and it has a big orange glow. Now, if it's facing towards you and towards the back of the shack, it's not only lighting you up, but it's lighting the back of the shack up. Okay? So the coyotes are down by the bait and they're looking through. They can look up, they look through the window, and the whole shack's lit up orange. And that's just one of those things that tips them off.
Yeah, there's no ambient light.
No.
Out in the woods.
They're not used to having the inside of that shack lit up like a Christmas tree. And similar to that is you pull out your phone. Pull out your phone, lights up your face, which is at window level. Bright blue light.
Yeah. In the military, we would call that light discipline.
Yeah, so just not using your phone or finding a way to kind of dull that. Maybe if you brought, sometimes I'll bring like a little towel. If I need to check my phone, I'll just drape the towel over my head and my phone so I can check it underneath the towel.
So with the heater,
I would turn it towards the front, towards the coyote, or towards the door or a further away corner. So it's not sending that light behind you.
Okay.
If you can focus the light to the front of the shack towards the coyotes, it's below the windows.
So it's kind of counterintuitive. You're actually shooting the heat not at you.
Right.
Because that's what you want to do. Mm-hmm. So you're putting it there. It's still finding you eventually.
Yeah, it's still making the whole cabin warm.
Okay.
But it's not lighting up the whole shack.
Right.
So one of the things that we also like to do is we take a piece of like window screen and we'll spray paint it black or some sort of like mesh, blacken it, and then tack it on top of the window. And so you can look through it and you can stick your gun through it. You might have a little slit for your gun and the scope. but it's just one more thing that doesn't. It stops most of the light from escaping.
Yep. So light discipline is everything with it.
It's one large piece of the puzzle.
Right.
Yeah.
And how far a shot is it typically?
We like to keep them around 100 yards. Further is better.
Okay.
We've had people who they just move a little bit and something crunches, like their jacket squeaks or just a little thing, and from inside the shack, that coyote will hear it from 100 yards away.
We all have those jackets that when it gets 10 degrees or less, how the fabric gets real.
Yeah, or having a Velcro pocket. They're just these little things that you don't think about.
Yeah.
That you have to. Those are the things that will make you a better coyote hunter or hunter in general, really.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, Wyatt, thanks. We'll be back in a minute.
This edition of Maine Knows How is brought to you by A&G Shooting, a brick-and-mortar gun shop offering firearms training and 100% customer satisfaction.
Do you have any good tips on coyote hunting or any good stories?
I might. I've been doing this a long time, and you had some very good points about coyote hunting out of a shack. And the shack is the most important thing. It really is. To put a heater in there is not to make you hot. It's to keep you from freezing to death. Come with clothes that you can wear, right? And the most important thing is to make sure you have dry, well-insulated boots. Because if you have a heater in the shack, the floor, heat don't go down, it goes up. So this is why we always put a kick plate inside the thing so it takes your feet off the ground. And your legs are straight out like this. So the blood can run down. If you're sitting like this, your knees shut the blood supply off, your feet will get cold. Then you start wiggling around and making noise in that shack. That coyote can smell a mouse, hear a mouse in 5 feet of snow. So you just bang in that shack and any noise at all, it's game over. So, and one time I was brought a coyote hunter to a shack, had just snowed, brand new snow. Brought him down, got him in the shack. I said, "You all set?" Yeah. I said, "Now be quiet, okay?" And this was a daytime hunt, not a nighttime hunt.
Did they move around?
They're cold. Well, they need protein when it's really cold. And so they have to eat. So that draws them to a bait sooner. So I went rabbit hunting. I had rabbit hunters. And I went rabbit hunting with the guy that's working for me. And we rabbit hunted for about 5 hours. After dinner, after lunch, around 2 o'clock, I came back to that stand to see if he had any luck. I says, if you see a coyote and you shoot him, don't go get him. Leave him there. We don't want to put your scent down by that bait. Okay. So I came back and I drove down because he was all done hunting. And I said, "Did you see anything?" He said, "Yeah, I seen eagles, 2 eagles, and like 20 ravens, and some crows, and a pine marten, and a fisher, all on the bait." He says, "It was so cool to watch them. I had your binoculars and I was watching them. Them eagles would fight all the time."
How many people see a fisher?
I know
in
it.
the wilderness.
Huh?
Mm-hmm.
Holy
Or a
smokes.
pine marten.
And a pine marten. I don't even know what a pine marten is.
There's one up there. But anyway, so I said, "Did you see the coyote?" And he said, "I didn't see no coyote." I says, "Come here." He come outside and I said, "Look over there. See those tracks?" "Yeah." I said, "Coyote came out and watched that shack. He wanted to make sure before he went to that bait there was nobody in the shack. And it was all packed down where he'd been sitting right there and messing around." I said, "He was there watching the shack or listening for you. Obviously, he heard something he didn't like and he left. And you never seen the coyote." So I says, "Come with me, let's go look." So we walked down and showed him where you could see right where he was sitting down watching. You could only see this part of him from where he was sitting. But he came out and walked all around, had it all packed down. So These guys are clever. So you have to be cautious of what you're doing.
It
Every
is
little-
a challenge to.
Yeah, you just take your foot and bang it, bang, and he's right there. It's game over. One of the gentlemen that hunted with us last year, he snapped his safety off, and that coyote took off running.
At about 150 yards.
150 yards. He snap.
Mhm.
The coyote ran, then he jumped 3 or 4 times and stopped and looked back at the shack. But luckily, this was at night. He had him in a scope, and he got him. But this happened.
Just the click
Just a click.
from 150
Yeah. So they're pretty...
inside
Inside
the shack.
Yep.
Yeah. So there's lots of tricks with the shack.
Right.
They remember that, like, one of the shacks has a windows that you can't open, but it has a slot with a gun rest. And when we leave, we put a dowel painted black out there so it looks like a gun barrel. Because if it's not there, they ain't coming out.
They're that perceptive.
Yeah.
And they have that type of memory.
Absolutely.
So you have to condition them to what it will look like.
Yeah. So after the hunting season is over, or getting towards the end, and we have shacks that we have named. One's called the Missing Shack. And we have different names for them. And these coyotes been schooled, graduated, and now gone to Harvard to learn how to work a bait. So then we'll have to have some friends come with dogs and run those coyotes and try to harvest them because they're teaching everybody else about this bait.
You're never going to get them.
We're never going to get them. And my friend Jerry Levine, he's an excellent coyote hunter, and he's learned so much about them, written books on them. And we used to do a coyote hunting school for 10 years here. And sometimes I'll share a story with you about Jerry hunting coyotes at one of the schools. It's really, really pretty cool.
So you talk about the baits. What's a bait?
It's a
What are you doing out?
it's deer pots, and we basically put out over 100 deer carcasses and beaver carcasses.
Where do you get that?
At the butchers. They've been butchering them, and then we load them in our freezers and freeze them up and all kinds of stuff. And it's not a good sight. Inside my barn
But it's coyote food.
It's coyote food, and it's rounded with deer pots, moose
Right.
pots, pig pots, all that kind of stuff. And we put that out, and it supplies nourishment for all the animals in the woods.
Right.
So if you're not a coyote hunter and you do like wildlife and would like to take some pictures, it's a good opportunity to come, bring your cameras,
Right.
and sit in a heated shack and get some photographs of wildlife. So now we're working on doing this year-round, photographing wildlife. Yeah, so we're experimenting with a bunch of different stuff, and there's a lot of people that like to take pictures that are birders and
Yeah.
wildlife photographers. Yep. So it's just another thing. If you are not a hunter, don't like guns, that's okay. You still like wilderness, and you still like seeing animals, and you like adventure. This is a great sport for you.
And if you like to eat, there's the lodge.
There's always, we can help you out in that department.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Bob, that's awesome. Wyatt, thank you so much for your tips. Coyotes are a challenge.
They
Is what I'm
are.
picking
Come and
up.
try.
If I'm picking up what you're laying down,
Yeah.
it's a
I'm
challenge.
Well, we don't know everything about them. We are learning continuously. And there's guys that get more coyotes than we do. But we take mostly beginners
Right.
that are just starting out. We're not having the guys that have thermal imaging and all this stuff, and they've done this a lot.
Right.
Most of our guys never
Come here and learn
Exactly.
with friends.
Yep.
Yep.
Have
Great.
fun.
Thanks.
This edition of Maine Knows How is brought to you by Digital Spirit Media, providing over 30 years of technical expertise in media production and event production services.
Welcome back. You've heard a lot of discussion today about people who live in the central Maine area and how they volunteer and how they help.
Mm-hmm.
But quite frankly, we really do enjoy having people, as they say in Maine, from away. If you're in the Californias, if you're in California or the Carolinas or wherever you may be, coming to Maine for an adventure is a great thing. And we really welcome you to do that, because once you get here and you learn things here, you can take it back to North Carolina or South Carolina with you. But listen, if you enjoy the podcast, please subscribe, rate the podcast, and give us your thoughts, give us your feedback. Just want to put in a plug for our fundraiser for the fishing derby, February 10. If you want to get involved, if you want to help out, go to our website. You can make contributions there. You can buy tickets there. You can let us know, that you're willing to help. And if you're looking forward to something, we do have a schedule of upcoming events even further out than that. So please go to our website, check it out. Remember, Ice Fishing Derby, February 10. Be nice and cold by then. Have a good day.
This edition of Maine Knows How is brought to you by A&G Shooting, Modern Woodmen of America, Mainly Handrails, Pine Grove Programs, J.W. Parks Golf Course, and Digital Spirit Media.